one thing I think I would have done differently would have been before I got married, before we finally got married, for me personally, I thought I would have probably... Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mabel, and on my channel here I film about family, relationships, beauty and lifestyle. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for always tuning in. If you're new here and you're just seeing me for the first time, thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe to my channel, because here we learn, we share and we have fun. So in today's video, I will be talking about long distance relationship, okay? The pros, the cons of long distance relationship, and I'm gonna kind of chip in some of my experience, because Chris and I, my husband, during the time before we got married, we dated from 2007 to 2012, and then from 2008, towards the end of 2008 to a few months to our wedding, it was long distance relationship. So I'm going to just kind of share my experience and then just tell you guys the advantages and disadvantages of long distance relationship, okay? So before I go further into the video, one thing I want to say is that it's all God's grace, okay? It's all God's grace, regardless whether you're where your partner is or you guys are far away. I think at the end of the day, it's all God's grace. So for me, it was more of God's grace, and then it was more of the peace of mind I had. You know, when you're with somebody and the peace that you just feel in your spirit, I think that was what it was for me. Grace of God and the peace that I had with my partner at the time when we're dating. So I think I'll have to put that first before I say anything here. So other than that, let's go ahead and, talk about long distance relationships, okay? So sharing my experience, let me give a little background here, okay? So Chris and I, we first met in Malaysia, and then we had dated for about a year before I moved, okay? And then I think one thing I can say is that we had a good foundation. Our foundation was really good. And then besides having a good foundation, when we're not together, I always had very pleasant memories, or very good memories that, I held on to, okay, with him, with Chris and I. So I had good memories. I had great foundation. So that kind of helped with Chris and I. So regardless whether we're together or not, those memories helped a lot. The foundation helped, because I had seen him firsthand, the kind of person he is. We had kind of experienced dating, be close to each other. So I kind of knew that, despite the fact that we had challenges, a few challenges while we dated long distance, I kind of knew that while we're together, those things were not there. So I kind of felt the peace. I said that, the long distance has its own challenges, has its own just natural, not challenges that any one of us caused, but just natural challenges that I knew for sure that if we came back together, those things were not going to be there. So that's just the background to my own experience, okay? So that being said, yeah, we still had challenges, and we still experienced a few disadvantages. I think I would say, after dating for that long distance and then being married now, I could tell you guys that there are disadvantages that I didn't see at the time, but now I can tell you that there are disadvantages as well as there are advantages, okay? So I'll just go ahead and just talk about the advantages and disadvantages, and then I'll point out one or two that I think was that I think is relevant to my situation at the time I was dating, okay? So what are the advantages of long distance relationship? So one advantage of long distance relationship, I'll say, would be less fights and less quarrels, okay? So yeah, when you are, even from my own experience as well, when you are not with somebody you're dating, I think it doesn't, you guys tend to fight or quarrel less for reasons like, like for me personally, and I think generally, I would say, because you're not there with the person physically, you guys are not present, it's better to avoid quarrels, or better to not have them or have less of them, because you're not there to console each other, I guess that's the word. But I think it just, with us, it was really less fights and arguments and quarrels. And I think with all of that long distance relationships, because like I said, you're not there, and then even if you get mad, that this would be another advantage. Even if you guys fight or quarrel, you won't stay mad at each other for a long time. Okay, you won't stay mad at each other for a long time, so that kind of helps you teach yourself how to forgive each other very often, how to not stay mad at each other. So yeah, that's an advantage, less fight. Another advantage would be that you guys, it kind of makes the individuals stay focused and in the sense that you're focused on whatever you are doing as individuals. For example, for me, where I was going to school, getting my undergrad. My partner Chris was where he was doing his master's degree, and of course working or doing business. So it kind of allowed us to stay focused, because I was focused on what I was doing and I did it very well. He was focused on what he was doing and he got it done very well, because we're trying to like achieve what we needed to achieve in a very short time, as fast as we can, so we could be together. For us, that was my experience. Okay, so it allowed us to really stay focused with our careers, with our studies and everything. So long distance will also help you focus on what you need to do, get out of the way, and then maybe get back together. That being said, when I was with Chris in Malaysia, I was also focused on my studies. He was focused, but I know that for sure we're a little bit distracted, because we spend time together, we went on vacation together, so yeah, it just helps manage your time and just helps you stay focused. So that's another advantage of long distance relationship. The third advantage I would say for long distance relationship is it helps build communication. Like, I'll say this again, like communication, it's an advantage when you're in a long distance relationship, because practically that's really all that you have going. I know you guys have love, you love yourselves and all that, you vibe, you're compatible and all that, but those things are there. But what you guys have in a long distance relationship is communication. So you get to talk all the time, you get to talk morning, afternoon, night. As in fact, for me, I talked all the time. So you would think that, okay, this is all we have, so let's take advantage of it. But it's also something that is building. It's you guys are building something together just by talking often, staying on the phone the whole time, maybe doing video calls and all that. Because from my experience, I would say that helped us, because we kind of talked, because that's all we did. And then coming together and being married, we're now used to talking to each other like that often. So it helps to build communication. I think it helps to build communication. Communication is another advantage to long distance relationship. So if you're in a long distance relationship, communicate, but then leverage on that, so that you learn how to communicate with one another. You will learn how to, you just talk to this person all the time. You're driving, you're talking, you're home, you're talking and all that, of course, if time allows. But yeah, so that's what you have, and then you just build on it unconsciously. But in the long run, you will see that really was a good thing. Okay, so the next reason I would say, or the next advantage I'll say, is that it's just like, how they say distance makes the heart grow fonder. That is absolutely true. Okay, so with long distance relationship, you're talking all the time, you're loving up on yourselves, all these things, and it kind of helps to keep the butterfly flying. And it makes the love, because for me, I wasn't with Chris at the time. I'm just sharing my experience as I go. And because we don't see often, I think we saw once a year, so it just makes you eager. You look forward to meeting this person, you know. So it just makes the heart, you know, go boom boom boom. So yeah, it kind of just makes the love, you know, go, you know, you guys are just communicating and just falling in love and falling in love, and then you're just looking forward to when you're going to see each other. So it just keeps the love really hot, hot, hot. You know what I mean? So that's an advantage to long distance relationship. So a disadvantage, long distance relationship, of course, the person is not there present. You know, you're not there present. Sometimes, you know, when you go through things and you just want somebody to, you know, be there for you, not just on the phone. Sometimes you just want to give something, you want to get a big hug from somebody, you know, the person you're dating. So the person not being physically there can be a disadvantage, because there's something, like I said, you want to see the person, you want to talk to them physically, you want to go on dates, you know, you want to go on dates, you know. So the person not being there physically is really a disadvantage, because you don't enjoy moments like, you know, when you want to talk to somebody, or even moments like when you want to go see a date with your partner, when you guys want to go for lunch dates and dinner dates and all that. So that's a disadvantage. You don't have the person present to do things with, to have fun with, to go on dates with, to play games with, and all that. Okay, so that's a disadvantage. Another disadvantage is that I personally think that you cannot completely know the person. Okay, yes, you cannot completely know the person. Okay, you guys can talk all the time. You know, you guys can, of course, you can talk. Of course, you have to talk about important things like, you know, where do we want to be? What are our goals? You know, what are the plans? When we get married, are we going to move to your state? Or, you know, just talk about the important things. But I actually think that you cannot completely know the person if you're not there. Now, there's one thing to talk to somebody over the phone, and it's another thing to be with the person. Maybe every now and then you pop in, visit them, see them, really know them, you know them. So yeah, you cannot completely know the person. Like, you know, for me, there are those little things like they might be relevant, okay, but they are still there. You cannot say you don't see them. Like, does this person make the bed like this? Does this person put their shoes properly? You know, does this person, these things are not deal breakers, okay? They are really not deal breakers, but they are things that you cannot completely rule out, okay? Like me, I think I would say for myself, I know I've mentioned like on the phone that, you know, I didn't like to do dishes and all that. I know Chris kind of knew it, but he didn't know how serious it was, because it was a really serious case. I didn't like to do dishes. But now being a mom, of course, I do dishes and all that. But initially it was a big deal, because I remember even when my mom visited, my mom was like, oh, this girl hasn't changed, you know. So those things they might not be deal breakers, but they are there that maybe you would have seen and being aware of that, okay, this is how this person is. And then I don't have any problems with them being like this. But then when you're not with the person and then you guys get married and moving together, and then you start seeing all these things that are there, because it's there everywhere, it's there in every relationship anyway. But at least you would have known, you know, even if you guys speak about it, you will not know the intensity or the degree of which this person is the way they are. Okay, so that's me. It might just be my personal thing, but I think it's there. Okay, so that's one disadvantage of this long distance relationship. So for me, I wouldn't say my experience was bad, you know, and I wouldn't say, but it's kind of more difficult if you're in a long distance relationship than if you're with the person there, because, you know, eventually when you guys get married and moving, okay, it's gonna be like you're now knowing this person all over again. Sometimes you know, the time you're supposed to use to do other things, you're not trying to rediscover yourselves again, because all you guys had was just talk. Now you have to now physically be doing the work that you need to do when you both are together. So it's not a bad experience, but at the same time, I think generally it's a learning curve. Everything you learn from everything, whether you're with the person or long distance, it's a learning curve. Okay, so from my experience, some things I learned, and then some things I probably would have done differently. And then if you also ask me what advice I'll give somebody who's in a long distance relationship will be, I'll probably just say all like interchangeably, okay? From my experience to what I learned to the advice I'll give to people who are in long distance relationships. So the first thing I'll say is you cannot completely know somebody. Yes, you cannot completely know somebody. Okay, even if you guys are in the same location when you're dating and you get married, you know, you're still gonna to see, because whether you're at the same place or not, you're not living the person, you don't completely know them. So when you guys move together, you still discover things that you don't know, or maybe the things you know that you didn't really focus on, because sometimes you're dating and it's love, and you're not really paying attention, close attention to certain things. Okay, so when you guys finally moving together, get married and moving together, you start discovering things, or you start maybe your eyes because they say marriage will open your eyes. It does open your eyes. Okay, so you will see all these things. So I think one of the things I've learned, or I learned, of course, being married now, I would say that don't be too hard on yourselves. Okay, you cannot completely know somebody, you cannot know all of them. So when you're dating and then you eventually get married, just give yourself time, you know, be patient with one another. You know, don't nag and say, oh, I didn't know you didn't do this, I didn't know you were like this, or you're not like this. No. Be patient, you know, take your time, don't be hard on yourselves, because even if you know the person now, you still know the people change. Okay, like, you know, you change. Rather, let me not use the word change. People grow. You know, as you grow, you continue to discover yourself. So you don't be too hard on yourself. And that's what I tell myself. I told myself that at some point, you know, we continue to grow. Because I know that even for me, I'll say when Chris met me, I was way young. I was really young, you know. Not like 16 young, you know, but I was young. And there were things that I did then that I don't do now, and there are things that I do now I don't do then, because I know I've matured, I've grown, I'm discovering myself daily. So if Chris was just focused on the really young girl that he knew or that he met, and he felt like, okay, this kind of person I want, and he didn't give a chance for change, or, you know, me meeting him the way he was, the kind of person he was, and I didn't give a chance for him growing and discovering himself and all that, we're going to continue to have problems. Okay, so just telling yourself that, you know, I can't know everything about this person. I've known the much I should know, the vital things, the important things, and then allow yourself space and time to grow and grow together. Okay, so that's one thing I would say. Another thing I would say from experience is that, like I said, it's not about where you guys are at the time you're dating, or yeah, it's not about where you guys are or how much you talk about, or how, you know, to determine if person is really the right person for you or not. I think it's gonna be more about, like I said, God's grace, because God is number one. Whether you are together, even married, or you are single, or you are dating long distance, or you guys are together, first is God's grace. Okay, because you cannot rule that out. Okay, for me, I can't even rule that out. And then the second was that I had peace of mind. Okay, like I always had peace in my mind. I always had peace, you know, just whenever I think of, okay, if I want to marry Chris, will I marry Chris? Like, there was this peace that I constantly had. Okay, so that one was something I know that, you know, yeah, that's, if you're with somebody, whether they're there or not, just make sure you have peace whenever I think about them, whenever I speak to them, whatever it is, just make sure you have that peace within you. Okay, so that's another thing I would say. Another thing I would say is that, another advice I'll give, that if you're dating somebody and you guys are not together, make sure you love yourselves very much, because you need love. Love is like the assurance, the thing that will continue to reassure you, you know. So the love should be there, and then you must trust the person, you know. Trust the person, not because you trust that they're not going to, you know, do certain things. You know, I don't want to derail from what I'm saying, but you must trust the person. But above all, you must trust God. Like, you must entrust this person to God. Like, you must say, God, okay, this is the person I'm with, this is the person I want to date. Here it is. I'm putting his heart, his mind, his spirit, his soul, everything in your hands. Okay, because it's only God that can completely, you know, look out for these people. For it's only God that can make them make the right decisions. Only God that can make them have the kind of heart that they have, not to do the wrong thing. So I think you must love them and trust them, and then entrust them into God's hands. Okay, so that makes sense, right? That makes sense. So that's an advice I'll give to you. Another advice I'm going to give is that you must communicate. Have constant communication. Communicate, because that's pretty much, you know, all that you have. Okay, so you must always communicate with this person. Okay, and when you communicate, don't just talk about I know you love yourself, talk about love and all that, but then you must talk about important things. Like, I mean, very important things. You must talk about, like, your goals, your aspirations, your dreams, your likes, your dislikes. Like, talk about it. Like, I mean, every single thing. Don't leave anything out. Don't say we're going to talk about this when we meet or when we get married. No, I want the communication to be full communication. Purposefully, thoughtfully communicate with this person. Okay, talk about things, whatever you talk about, every single thing. So that's me with communication. Communication is a big deal in every relationship, regardless whether it's dating relationship or even with friendship. So you have to communicate. So that's one thing I want to say. Talk about everything. Talk as much as you can. Talk about, talk every time if possible. Okay, so that's another advice. Another advice I'll give is that you must have understanding. You must have understanding that first, we're in a distance relationship. Okay, so there are certain things you would expect from this person that you would have expected, but because they are not there, you have to understand that, okay, this person is not here. Okay, so I'm going to just manage. I'm going to manage my emotions. I'm going to so you have to have understanding. You also have to understand that for especially for people who probably one person has to work over there or one person has to go to school. You must understand that you guys are in different locations. You have different time zones, I guess, most of the time. You have different times. You probably have different schedules or different things you're doing. So if the other person has to work and maybe you aren't working, okay, don't sit down there all the time by the phone waiting for them to call you, because sometimes it can lead to frustration for you who isn't doing so much or who is not busy, okay, and then it can put unnecessary pressure on the person who's working or who's busy. So you must have understanding of what you're both doing, understanding that you guys are not at the same place. Sometimes maybe the time is different, and then sometimes the other person has to work, or you guys' schedules are different. So you must have understanding. And then you must also understand that as just individual understanding, and of course for both of you yourselves, you must understand that you guys are in this together. Even if you feel that, oh, I'm alone, I'm here, you're far away, it's the same thing with the other person. They are far away, they feel lonely sometimes and all that. So you must have an understanding that you guys are in this together, okay? So another advice I'll give is you must learn how to encourage yourselves, okay? With relationship, I know Chris was very good with this one. With this one, even with communication, Chris was really good. And then encouraging ourselves, there are times where you're going to feel weak. Times where you're going to be like, oh God, I can't do this anymore. Times where you're going to feel frustrated. Just because even when you're with somebody frustrated, talk more when you're not even there, okay? But you must learn how to encourage yourselves and remind yourselves that, okay, we have a goal. This is our goal. We just need time, and we're in this together and all that. So you must learn to encourage yourselves, okay? Yeah, you must learn to encourage yourselves. And with encouraging oneself, you must also learn to make your partner feel very important. You must make them know that they are priority, okay? Whether you're working or you're schooling, you have to continue to encourage them and tell them that, oh, you're still, this is at the end of the day, it's about you. I'm doing all this because of you. You have to learn to encourage yourself and make them priority. Not just make them a priority in your mind. You must also remind them and continue to give them the reassurance that they are priority in whatever you're doing. Okay. Another advice I'll give if you're in a distance relationship is that you should learn how to stay busy. Okay. Like for example, if one person is busy, maybe one person goes away for work or for school, I don't think the other person should just stay idle, not doing anything. Because remember, an idle mind is the devil's what? Finish that. So if you stay idle, sometimes it can lead you to things that you would not ordinarily do, or lead you to do things that you don't necessarily would have done. So don't keep yourself idle just waiting for the other person. Find something to do. Keep yourself busy. Learn a trade, learn a skill, read books, start a project. Just be creative. Use your time. Don't be idle. Like I said, if you're idle, then the devil is going to start, playing tricks with your mind and all that. So while the other person is probably working or schooling or is gone, keep yourself busy. Don't be idle. So you don't be focused on just being lonely. And then while you're lonely, the devil's going to tell you different things that you can do to keep yourself busy. So don't let the devil keep you busy. You keep yourself busy, okay? So don't be an idle mind, okay? Keep yourself busy, because that will help a long way making, of course, distracting you, taking your mind off the fact that the person is not there, and it also helps with, you know, just making the time go by so fast. Okay, so that's another reason why you have to stay busy. Okay, you need to stay busy. Do not be idle. And even in your busy schedule, okay, regardless whether you're busy or not, you must find a balance. Okay, yeah, because what I mean is, you must find a balance. You must be intentional. So I know that maybe I'm out here, I have to go to school, but I must realize that I have to intentionally tell myself that I'll call my partner when I wake up or before I go to bed. I'll call them when they wake up or before they go to bed, or maybe I'll spend my lunch time talking to them. I'll intentionally send them text messages and all that. So even when we are busy, we must also find a balance in, you know, in our busy schedules, you know, to just be intentional towards the other person. So that's another point. Okay, and then another point would be that if you're in a distance relationship, and then my advice would be, do not quarrel, do not fight all the time. Try to have less fights and less arguments. Okay, try to, even when you have those fights and arguments, try to resolve them. Do not let them, do not drag them, do not, you know, because sometimes it could be frustrating. Okay, so, and then if you're the one who, when your partner who's not with you calls you all the time and all you do is to nag on the phone, it will kind of discourage them from calling you. Kind of make them feel like, oh, I'm about to call this person, oh, I'm sure when I call they're just gonna nag. So try not to fight and nag and quarrel all the time. Use your time on the phone or when you're talking to the person wisely. You know, take advantage of it. Okay, talk about things, you know, talk about things to encourage yourself, make yourself happy, laugh and all that. Because like I said, if you keep nagging and fighting, you know, this person, you can even push the person away from you, and then they're gonna go find somebody else to talk to. I guess that's how to say it. So fight less, quarrel less, do not nag on the phone when you have a chance to talk. And even if you fight, do not stay mad at each other for a long time, because I think that is not even good. Okay, so yes, those would be a few advices I would give. Let me just say one thing that I think I would have done differently would have been before we finally got married, for me personally, I thought I would have probably spent more time with Chris before we finally said I do, before we finally got married. Because, you know, I'm the one who's going to tell somebody. Especially for us, it was quite different because we had stayed together for a year or so. You know, we had good foundation, we have memories and all that. I already knew him firsthand, not just on the phone or anything. So, but if you're the one who just met somebody online or however you guys met, you know, but you guys haven't met personally or physically before, I want to advise that you should just go get married to the person. I think I would say be with this person or be close to this person, get to see them firsthand for who they are, get to understand them, get to know them personally before you get married. That's my advice, because I feel like, you know, you don't just want to talk to somebody, because sometimes people might be different on the phone, online, and all that from being physically. They might be different. Okay, so I think it's important to spend time to physically be there with the person, to know the person, to understand the person, to have like better knowledge of the person. Okay, so that is what I would have done differently. Spend more time with Chris. I know I had traveled. I know, yeah, with Chris and I had traveled, and but then when I traveled to kind of stay close to him and just for us to stay together a little bit before we got married, he was still going back and forth, you know, still doing his business and all that. So for me, what I would have done differently was to probably stay with this person, stay with him some more. But then it wouldn't have really changed anything, basically, because I feel like I said, if you're with somebody, if you're dating somebody, you must have made sure that they, you know, qualify for the kind of person that you'd want to spend your life with. And of course, with God on your side and you having peace of mind, I think that's really what's most important. Of course, love and all that. So I just wanted to come here today and share from my experience what I think are the pros and cons with distance relationship. I've also shared like my experience of it, and I've also talked about the things that you can do to help manage and help your distance relationship successful. And with that being said, I have come to the end of my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned, or I hope you learned a thing or two, or I hope you've learned something from all the many things I've said. And with that being said, I've come to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something from it. And also, please don't forget to like my videos, leave your comments, please share your thoughts, share my videos, subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.